Lots of people sending me texts questioning that 10,000 people are at the Hui. I would agree. As I said, more people paid to go to Foo Fighters over the weekend, some 30,000. And I'm sure there were AMP shows. The races in Wellington will have more than 10,000 people attend overall this weekend and today. So it wasn't the biggest thing that happened, but of course it got woke media coverage. Of course it did, and all the radical things people were saying. I thought Tama Potak, and just on reflection, did very, very well and walked a difficult line. Look, I want to make this observation. Christopher Luxon didn't go, but he had a meeting earlier on with the Maori King. He is quite good, Luxon, at just staying away. Just not at getting involved in things when there's any risk possible. Someone showed a picture, I think he went to a wedding on Sunday. And this is a guy who doesn't seem to want or need to be in the headlines all the time, Luxon. And he will run from trouble or potential conflict. He'll run a mile if things look like they're not going to be marvellous for him. Well, one MP who went along, and I guess would have been interesting for a Labour MP to go, of course, Māoridom delivered a pretty strong verdict on the Labour Party at the last election. They abandoned them in droves and went and voted for Te Pātai Māori, even though Te Pātai Māori only got 2% of the vote. Māori is 17% of the population. You'd think they were on the cusp of taking over government, the Māori Party, the way they bang on and all the coverage they get. But there were Labour MPs there, amongst them Greg O'Connor, who, of course, successfully stood and won his seat against Nicola Willis. And Greg O'Connor joins us on the line now. Greg, I just hope have I got you there?
Yeah.
Very, very good. Okay. Greg, why did you go?
To see what's happening. This is a pretty important time in New Zealand history, and you can't really rely on reports. You need to be there and understand, get a feel for what's happening there, because I think this is going to be quite a defining topic over the next wee while. So that was why I went.
All right. And do you whakapapa to Tainui or anything? You got any connections there?
No, I don't. I'm a Tahu boy, if you're going to identify with where your family. My family arrived in the west coast of the South Island in the 1840s, 1860s. So I suppose if you're going to whakapapa to anyone, and it's not a bad question you ask. I think it's probably quite good that every New Zealander does know and understand which rohi or which Kiwi they belong, that they grew up in.
Yeah,
it's a good part of that. A very good part of the understanding that I think.
All right. Were 10,000 people there, Greg? You're an expert. Well, you can do a crowd estimate. 10,000 sounds a little heavy.
Well, I didn't do the shortcut, where you count their legs and divide by 2. But no, I don't know. In fact, it was quite difficult to work out because of the way it was. It was very full, the main marae.
Yeah.
And then people were overflowing across the road. It's hard to know what 10,000 looks like, I suppose, sporting events. But certainly it was clearly way more than were expected. And if you just saw the car parks, the buses, when I first arrived, I guess it was the number of buses that I saw. You realise that each one of them would be delivering presumably about 70 or 80 odd people. It was a sea of humanity.
Okay.
You really could. You did get that feeling that you were part of a very big throng of people.
All right. Okay.
Very well organised, I might say.
Yeah.
To get that number of people moving around. And I was incredibly impressed with the organisation, because you know how that number of people arriving anywhere for any event, if you haven't got the organisation in place, it will very quickly become a shambles. It was no way.
What was the message? What the hell was it all about?
I think some of these things, just the mere fact they happen, the fact that the people arrived. I've been doing a lot of reading post. I hadn't realised that until now that Ngāpuhi weren't part of the kingitanga. They were there and the king and spoke. So there's a lot of relevance there because there weren't many. I'm often when you go to
Greg, I'm trying to get you to what was it about?
Well, from what my understanding was it was about somewhere where all iwi from New Zealand and, in fact, all the individuals could come and, I suppose, just by their mere presence, show that they're not very happy with the direction of travel.
Oh, so it was basically a political protest meeting?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I suppose...
Well, you just did say that. So why?
No, I didn't.
Again, what do you think it was about?
No, Sean, don't say that. No, I'm going to say there were 10,000 people there. Probably there were 5,000 different reasons for going. I mean, I had a different reason for going than many others did. So when an event, what I will tell you, though, it was significant.
Well, if we don't know what it was about, how can it be significant? Is it any more significant than the Foo Fighters concert where 30,000 people turned up and paid money?
Yeah, well, for a start, nobody paid any money to be there. It was something that people put themselves through, from what I understand, particularly hot weather, quite a bit of discomfort to get there. So what you'd have to do is, there's no answer. You ask a question.
So all we can say then on this Monday is a bunch of people got together at Ngārawaewae. No one's too sure why.
Well, I think they know why. Each one of them knows why. They will have gone, each one of those iwi. I know that there were a lot of meetings prior in the different iwi to decide whether they would go and why and who. Firstly, if you're going to sit back and say, what I was impressed was the organisation ability to get that many people into one place from around New Zealand in a relatively short time.
So I take it you're equally impressed at the average AMP show.